go.
Hello guys, I know it's been a while since I made my last video, but I've been busy and it's kind of hard to figure out basically a content plan for this channel. I've had a lot of different ideas for videos and I wasn't really sure about what to do or how to make myself pretty much be able to upload regularly. But I think I've kind of finally determined what is essentially a very basic content plan for this channel. I'm going to begin to try to put it in action. This is going to be the first video, you're going to see in this content plan. And then I'm of course going to bring more. The next videos I have planned, I want to try to start a new series that I'm going to upload weekly. And then I want to have what is essentially kind of like filler content, but really it's just like live commentary. I want to try to do that 2 or 3 times a week. And then the last thing I want to do is make one of these kinds of videos every week, which is basically a short feature of a game. And this is like the last kind of video I'd make. So I'd have like 4 or 5 uploads a week, and it would look like that. It's like 1 longer video, then 3 sort of live commentary videos on games, and then a video like this. So what is this video? This is a video about Rise to Ruins. Now I started playing this game about 3 or 4 days ago. I picked it up on Chrono.gg. They had a sale for $5. So the game was like almost 70% off or something like that. The game's normally $15, so $5 is a pretty good steal. And I've had my eye on the game for a little bit, but I didn't know much about it until I picked it up when it was on sale. It's a very interesting game. I'm just going to have some footage playing in the background while I talk about it a little bit. So, there are things I like about this game and things I don't like about this game. Overall, my opinion of the game is pretty positive, but I will mostly go over my feelings on the game and just kind of end, I suppose, on a note of criticism. I know what I want to say, so it shouldn't take that long. This video probably won't be more than 10 minutes at most. So, what is it about this game? This is kind of like an interesting colony, like sim, sort of like building game. And in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of like it's kind of like a mix of several different genre greats in terms of like RTS and sim games and like colony games. It kind of reminds me. It has very basic elements of like real-time strategy, so I get very vague like Warcraft and StarCraft vibes. I get even vibes from games like Populous. I get vibes from games like Civ. Vibe from games like any kind of city builder, like even like City Skylines, like or like any kind of like village builder. It also kind of sort of reminds me of a game called Travel's Trouble, which was a very old like standalone PC title. I don't know if any of you guys ever played that, Travel Trouble. It was like this very old like RTS. You could be either like the native islanders, or you could be like the Vikings, and like those were the 2 races you could pick, and blah blah blah. But basically this game has elements from all those different kinds of games. You have a lot of building aspects. You have varying levels of micromanagement. You have resource collecting. You have like miracles. You know what another game it reminds me of is Black and White. Black and White 2 specifically. I've never played Black and White 1, but it does remind me of Black and White 2. You could build, you have like miracle spell things you can do. There's varying levels of micromanagement. It also has tower defense elements. If you play in the traditional modes or any of the modes that have the monsters, there's this corruption thing that grows over the world. That's kind of like, it grows over the land, and eventually that's what starts to send the monsters at you, which is why you have to have towers or some kind of defense. But I really like this game. It really engages me in a way that, like, it's been a long time since I played a game like this, and I enjoy a lot of different aspects of it. I enjoy the start of the game a lot, and it actually gets better as it goes along. But I have a feeling that there are several different things they could do to make that better. But like I said, I'm pretty much gonna leave all of my criticism for the end. So the start of the game is very interesting. You usually have to pretty much just get all your buildings ready. You have to tell your villagers to harvest stone, wood, food and water, and crystals. You have to set down your basic things like your camp, your lumber, like your lumber mill, like your stone mining building, your food, like your water purifier, your farm, your basic housing. And at that point, once you have all that set up, that usually takes at least the first day. That attends to the most basic needs of the villagers, which you need food, water, and shelter. Once you have that attended to, after that it's basically a game of defense. You essentially sit there and you try to last as long as you can against this corruption stuff and see like how big you can build your base without letting it fall. And you just kind of try to grow your population as big as you can. So you sit there, you build more houses, you build specialist buildings like a stone cuttery to cut stone blocks instead of just regular stone. You make lumber. You make the boards with the lumber thing. Like it makes the refined boards from the regular logs. And you can make like the refined crystals too, of course. Those are the 3 basic resources besides food and water: the stone, the crystal, and the wood. And you basically do that, and you sit there and you just kind of build up, and you extend yourself as far as you can. This game kind of almost has an influence building range, kind of like Black and White 2. I mentioned that game before, where you can only build inside like your range. You can extend your range with buildings. What I like to do is I like to extend my range with campfires, because they provide like a huge range and they also provide light, so they're useful in that way. And a good strategy is to pretty much take a bunch of land and build outwards, and then use that to like secure a foothold and then build inwards with a lot of space. But you always have to be very careful about walling yourself in, because at some point you're gonna be your growth's gonna be limited, because the corruption takes over the map much faster than you do. And you know, you can only build up so much before they start sending like a lot of stuff at you, and you're gonna have to just only sit there and defend. You won't be able to expand anymore. So the game kind of follows like a logical path to progression from start to finish, where you start in a peaceful sort of state without being attacked. But within like after the first few nights, you're gonna start having monsters sent at you. If you're playing on anything in traditional or above, there's like traditional, survival, and nightmare. And those are the ones that are like to have monsters in them, and there's like peaceful and custom or something like that. And basically what that is they're essentially, you know, like different ways to play where there's no monsters, or like you can turn certain options on or off in custom. But most of the game modes have monsters in them. Monsters are like the monsters in the corruption are the main antagonists and the main difficulty goal of the game, because just surviving and building up really isn't that hard, and it's easy to just like make all the basic needs be met, and after that you're just pretty much extending and making yourself bigger and bigger, and that's the only continuation of the game. So I would recommend playing on traditional or above, because if you play on peaceful, I've tried playing on peaceful, it kind of gets boring. There's not much challenge, but the game kind of follows this logical progression, and you kind of go that way, and it reminds me kind of, in a way, it does remind me of an RTS match, how like it has a start and an end, and in that way, it's kind of like different than most Civ or like sim building games or calling games, because it's not necessarily always about expanding more and surviving as long as possible, because every map kind of has like a set date where you're gonna die. It's not necessarily a set date, but it's impossible to survive forever, because the corruption just keeps growing and growing, and they're just gonna keep sending more and more monsters at you, and you can't defend forever. So eventually you are gonna die. But I do like the fact that it kind of has like an RTS feel with how the game kind of has like a start and an end. It kind of reminds me in that way. But there are some issues with the game that I have. I guess I'll bring up the criticism of the game now. Before I do, I will state I really like this game. I've been enjoying what I've played of it. I have like 8 or 9 hours in it so far, close to 10 hours, something like that. I really enjoy it. I enjoy a lot of different aspects of it. It scratches my RTS itch. It scratches my Civ itch. It has a lot of different aspects from those kinds of genres in it. But I want to go a little bit over the criticism now. So the first things I have to say is because you can expand to other maps. When you expand to other maps, the game kind of feels similar. The build paths you go through don't really seem very varied. They're very similar because there's not many different kinds of buildings you can build in terms of things that like make a real difference. And you have to build similar things. You know, you have to upgrade your camp. You have to build fires. You have to build walls. You have to build towers. You have to build a farm. You have to build a water purifier. You have to build housing. You have to build all the stuff for your resources. So it's still, when you go to a new map, you can create different base layouts, which is nice, and that's one of the ways you can have fun. You can create different base layouts, and you can use different kinds of towers, but there's no real huge differences in the way that you select building types. Another thing that I don't like, the game has a progression system, which I enjoy. I do like progression systems quite a lot. It has a perk thing. It has a perk thing where you basically you gain XP and then use it to open these chests, and you do quests and blah blah blah, and you get these perks. But I don't like how the perks are random. I would prefer if you could just select your own perks and go down like a list or like a tree. I would prefer some kind of skill tree. So I could pick, for example, if I want my villagers to be very efficient with food, I could get all the food traits first. Then I could go to the water traits. Then I could go to the tower damage traits and the housing traits and the wall health traits or whatever it is. I don't like how the progression is random, basically, because it's completely random. What you get is completely random. So I don't like that. And I guess for one of the final things I'll say is I don't like that the game essentially kind of has like a time limit set on it like that. I guess I could try playing on custom. I haven't tried custom yet, but there are just a few issues with the game that I hope will be resolved in future updates. The main things for me are build variety, the way the progression works, and certain aspects about the game feeling similar as it kind of goes along a path. Remember what I said? The game kind of has like almost like a set beginning, a set end. That's both a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because it makes the matches and it makes the maps you feel play somewhat too similar. So those are the kind of things that I hope to be improved in the game. But overall, I really like this game. I think it's a mix of really interesting genre greats like Populous, Black and White 2, StarCraft, Warcraft, Civ. It just has so many different elements from all these types of games mixed in with the micromanagement, the unit, the unit management, the building placement, the way you collect your resources, the way you store resources, tower defense, like tower defense, little bits of tower defense stuff mixed in there. I really like this game, and I think you should give it a try. Wait for it to go on a sale like I did. That's just how I am. I like sales, and this game goes on a decent sales, it seems, somewhat frequently. So if you can wait, I would suggest you wait for a sale. If you're really excited, you could buy it right now. It's only $15. It's still pretty cheap. But yeah, that's Rise to Ruins. I think it's a really cool game, and I encourage you to check it out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching my video. Bye for now. Peace out.